Alina wiped the sweat off her forehead and adjusted the scarf around her head. The sun was already harsh, and she still had 4 more rooms to clean. But she didn't complain. She never did. She needed this job, even if it meant scrubbing floors, taking insults from other maids, or being treated like she didn't exist. The Caldwell mansion was massive, too big for someone like her. The chandeliers above her looked like they cost more than her life. Every room smelled like money, pride, and power. But Alina didn't belong to this world. She just cleaned it. "Hey, poor girl, you missed a spot again." One of the senior maids threw a rag at her. It hit Alina in the chest, hard. "If I get scolded again because of you, I'll make sure." "Mr. Zayan fires you himself." Alina bent down, picked up the rag and whispered, "I'm sorry. I'll fix it." She always said sorry, even when she wasn't wrong. But something about today felt off. Too quiet, too tense, like the silence before a storm. She continued working, her hands aching, her back sore. Just as she was wiping the mirror in the main hallway, she heard loud footsteps, angry ones, sharp, powerful. Then came the voice, deep, icy, filled with rage. "Where is she?" Alina turned slowly. Everyone froze. Zayan Caldwell had entered the mansion. His presence was impossible to ignore. Tall, sharp jawline, dressed in black with eyes that could cut through lies. He was the youngest billionaire in the country. Women wanted him. Men envied him. But today, he didn't look like the calm CEO. He looked like a storm. One of the guards whispered something to him, and his expression darkened even more. Then he pointed directly at Alina. "You, come here." Alina's heart stopped. She stepped forward, nervous and confused. "Sir?" He didn't blink, didn't hesitate. "Where's the necklace?" he asked coldly. Alina blinked. "What? Necklace, sir?" Zayan walked up to her, towering over her trembling body. "Don't play innocent with me. My mother's necklace, worth $2 million, is missing. You were the last one seen near the room." Alina took a step back, her legs weak. "Sir, I didn't—" Before she could finish, one of the maids shouted from the back. "I saw her. I saw her near the safe yesterday." Another chimed in. "She's been acting weird since morning." Alina turned around, shocked. These were the same women she helped when they were sick, the same women she shared her lunch with. Now they were pointing fingers at her like she was a criminal. "No, I didn't do anything. Please believe me, sir. Enough." Zayan's voice was a growl. "You really think tears can fool me?" Tears were already rolling down her cheeks, but not out of guilt, out of helplessness. She looked at the others, hoping, praying, someone would speak the truth. But all eyes turned away. Zayan nodded to his guard. "Search her room. If we find even a hint of that necklace—" "I didn't take it," she whispered, her voice barely there. Zayan leaned in, eyes locked on hers. "You know what I hate more than thieves? Thieves who lie. And right now I see both in front of me." Her legs gave in. She fell to the floor, sobbing. But Zayan didn't flinch. "I should call the police. But that would bring media attention. So here's what's going to happen." She looked up at him, confused. "You're going to stay right here, inside this mansion, under my eye. You don't get to leave until I find out the truth, and to make sure you don't run. You'll become my wife." Her heart stopped. "What?" He leaned closer, his voice cold. "You heard me, until I know the truth. You are mine." Alina's lips parted in shock, her body trembling. This wasn't justice. This was something else. Something dangerous. She was no longer just a maid. She was now a prisoner bride. The sound of the heavy door closing behind her felt louder than anything Alina had ever heard. It echoed through the marble walls of the billionaire's mansion, like the final slam of a prison gate. She stood frozen in the massive hallway. Red carpet beneath her bare feet, crystal chandeliers hanging above her like icy watchers, and servants. Servants staring at her like she didn't belong. Because she didn't. She was a maid yesterday. Now she was the billionaire's wife. No love, no romance, just punishment. "Mary!" Zayn called out to the head maid who came rushing in. "This woman will be staying in room A1, my mother's old suite. She's not allowed to leave the mansion. Keep an eye on her. And don't believe a single tear that falls from her eyes." Mary nodded silently. But Alina noticed the subtle smirk on her face, like she already knew how to treat a fake wife. Alina was still shaking. She didn't even know how to respond. She tried to speak, but Zayn didn't wait. He turned around and walked off like nothing had happened, like he hadn't just stolen a girl's freedom. Mary grabbed Alina's arm. "This way, madam." That madam felt like a slap, a mockery. The room they entered was the size of an entire apartment. Velvet curtains, golden lamps, a bed that looked like it had never been touched. Every inch screamed wealth, but it felt cold, sterile, heartless. "This is your room. Everything you need is here, but just so we're clear." Mary looked her dead in the eyes. "You're not his real wife. We all know that. So don't act like you're something special. You're nothing but a placeholder." Alina didn't respond. Her throat had dried up. She just nodded slightly. After Mary left, she walked around the room like a stranger in someone else's life. She ran her fingers over the silky pillows, stared at her reflection in the vanity mirror, and then she cried. But not just any cry. The kind of cry that rips out of your chest when you realize you're truly, painfully alone. Hours passed. She didn't eat, didn't change, didn't move. Then the door opened again. Zayn stood there with a tray of food. He didn't smile, didn't soften. Just walked in and placed the tray on the table. "You haven't eaten. Why?" She didn't reply. "I asked you a question." Alina finally looked up, eyes swollen. "Why do you care? I'm just a thief, right? A liar? What does it matter? If I starve?" Zayn stared at her for a moment. Something flashed in his eyes. Was it guilt? No, maybe just pity. "You think crying will convince me you're innocent?" he asked coldly. "No," she replied, her voice quiet but firm. "I just cry when I'm treated like dirt." He paused. That caught him off guard. She stood up, walking slowly toward him. "I worked here for 2 years. I scrubbed your floors, cleaned your windows, ironed your suits. I never asked for anything. Not even thanks. And in 1 second, one necklace disappears, and I become a criminal?" He clenched his jaw. "Then prove it. Prove you're not." "How? I don't even have anyone. No family, no money, no power. I don't even know who framed me. I just know it wasn't me." Her voice cracked. "And yet you dragged me here, married me, locked me like a trophy in a glass case. What am I to you, Mr. Caldwell?" He didn't answer. She laughed bitterly, wiping her tears. "Nothing. I'm nothing to you." But before she could walk past him, Zayn caught her wrist. His grip was strong, but not painful. This time, it felt confused, like his heart didn't know what it was doing. "Don't test me, Alina," he said quietly. "I don't." Like when people act like victims. "Maybe because you've never been one," she whispered. He let go of her hand and walked away. But before he closed the door, he said one thing that sent shivers down her spine. "Dinner's at 8, and you will sit next to me. After all, you're my wife now." Click. The door shut again. And Alina sank back onto the bed, realizing she was trapped not just in this mansion, but in a web of power, suspicion, and a man who could ruin her completely, or save her without even knowing it. That night, dinner was silent. Alina sat across from Zayan at the long, glossy dining table that could seat 20, but only 2 chairs were occupied. It felt like a chessboard, and she was the pawn. The maid served roasted lamb, creamy soup, baked vegetables, and wine. But Alina's appetite had died the moment she became a prisoner with a wedding ring. She barely touched her plate. Zayan ate in silence too, watching her from across the candles. His eyes were unreadable, ice cold on the surface, but something deeper flickered underneath. "Eat," he finally said. "I'm not hungry." "I didn't ask if you were." Alina stared down at her plate. "Why are you doing this?" "What?" "This." She gestured around. "The marriage. The punishment. Keeping me here like I'm your pet." He wiped his mouth with a napkin and leaned back in his chair. "Because I hate liars." "I'm not lying," she snapped, slamming her hand on the table. The maids flinched in the background. Silence followed. Zayan's voice dropped a tone. "Don't raise your voice at me. Not in this house." Alina's breath trembled. "Then stop treating me like I'm trash." He stood up, walked over, and leaned down, his face inches from hers. "Then stop pretending to be innocent." Their eyes locked, and for a second, she saw something broken in him. He looked like a man who didn't just hate lies, he feared betrayal. But instead of responding, Alina stood up too. "Fine, let me go. If I'm so disgusting, why do you still want me here?" Zayan straightened his back. "Because I'm not done with you yet." That sentence hit her harder than a slap. He left the dining room without another word. Later that night, Alina wandered the dark hallway, hoping to breathe, to escape the suffocating walls. The mansion was so big, so empty, it echoed her own loneliness. She stumbled across a room with a slightly open door. Curious, she stepped in. It was dimly lit, filled with antique furniture and heavy drapes. A piano sat in the center, and on the far wall, there was a glass cabinet filled with old photo frames. She walked closer, her eyes scanning the dusty glass. There were pictures of Zayan as a boy. He looked different, smiling, carefree. And then she saw it. A photo of Zayan, with a girl. She had soft eyes, a bright smile, and she was wearing a bracelet, hand-woven, red threads with silver charms. She was holding Zayan's hand like it was hers forever. Alina's heart sank. The way he looked at that girl in the photo, he had never looked at Alina like that. Just then, a cold voice startled her. "What are you doing here?" She spun around. Zayan stood at the door, arms crossed, expression unreadable. I was just walking." He walked in slowly. "So you walk into private rooms?" "I didn't know it was private. I'm sorry." His gaze dropped to the photo in her hand. "You were smiling in this," she said softly. "You looked happy." He walked forward and took the photo gently from her hands. His fingers brushed against hers. She didn't move. "I was," he whispered, "until she left." Alina watched him quietly. "Who was she?" she asked. He stared at the picture for a long time. "A mistake I thought was love. You loved her, didn't you?" He didn't answer. Alina's voice lowered. "Do I look like her?" That made him look at her. For the first time, really look at her. "You have her eyes," he said. She blinked, stunned. But what followed shattered her. But not her soul. Alina stepped back, the words burning. Like acid. So you hate me because I remind you of someone who hurt you? I don't hate you, he replied. I don't know what I feel. Alina shook her head. No, you do. You just don't want to admit it. You're scared. So you lock people up before they can leave you, just like she did. He flinched, not visibly, but enough for her to notice. I don't know who broke you, Mr. Caldwell, she continued, tears in her eyes. But it wasn't me. He looked away. I'm not your ex, I'm not your enemy, and I'm not your prisoner. She turned to walk away, but just before she reached the door, his voice stopped her. You're right. She paused. But you are my wife, even if just by name. She looked back at him, lips trembling. That's not what a wife is. He walked closer, his steps soft, slow. Then teach me, he whispered. Teach me how to trust again. Alina stared at him, shocked. You want me to teach you how to be human again? He smiled faintly. Only if you're willing to stay. Her eyes welled up again, not from pain this time, but confusion. Was this the same man who had threatened to lock her up? The same man who thought she was a thief? Because right now, he just looked lost, like a boy in a big house, scared of being left alone again. She stepped out of the room without answering. Her heart was pounding. Her mind was a storm. She didn't know if she could help him, but something inside her whispered, You already are. Alina spent most of the next day in silence. The mansion echoed with wealth, but it had no warmth. She wandered its marble halls like a ghost, passing rooms she wasn't allowed to enter, faces that didn't greet her, and memories that weren't hers. Every time she crossed paths with a maid or guard, she felt eyes on her back, judging, mocking, waiting for her to fail. She was Zayon Caldwell's wife by name, but to the world inside these walls, she was still just the maid who stole. That evening, while watering the indoor plants near the east wing, she heard whispers, voices from behind a half-closed door. She paused, her hand frozen mid-air, the watering can tilted. He still doesn't know it's me, a voice said, sharp and low. Alina moved closer, her breath shallow. She recognized that voice. It was Mina, one of the senior maids, the same one who had thrown the rag at her a few days ago. I sold the necklace. No one will ever trace it, Mina said. Again. Alina's heart dropped. The necklace? She had it? I just have to keep my mouth shut until they kick that poor rat out, Mina muttered. Alina felt her stomach twist. Her legs weakened. All this time. All the insults. All the accusations. It wasn't her. It never was. She stepped back too quickly, and her foot hit a vase behind her. It fell with a loud crash. Inside, the voices went silent. Alina panicked and ran. She didn't stop until she reached the backyard, breathless, her eyes wide and full of panic. She had proof now, not physical proof, but enough to confront Zayon, enough to make him listen. Maybe for the first time he'd believe her. But would he? Would a man like him ever admit he was wrong? She didn't sleep that night. Her mind kept replaying Mina's voice over and over. No one will ever trace it. The next morning, she found Zayon in his home office, sitting behind his mahogany desk, flipping through papers. He looked up, clearly annoyed. What are you doing here? I need to talk to you. I'm busy. I heard something. He froze. She walked closer. Yesterday, one of your maids. She was talking about the necklace. She said, she sold it. Zayon narrowed his eyes. And why would I believe you now? Because you should, she snapped. He stood up. Don't raise your voice. I will, she shouted, her eyes filled with tears. You've done nothing but humiliate me. Lock me up like an animal. Call me a liar. And now that I give you the truth, you still look at me like I'm filth. Her hands trembled. I'm not your enemy, Zayan. I never was. And I won't let you treat me like one anymore. He walked around the desk, now standing in front of her. You're saying one of my own staff stole it? I'm saying the woman you trust the most betrayed you. He stared at her, long, hard, like he was trying to see through her soul. Finally, he said one word. Prove it. She blinked. I'll have my security monitor her movements. If she slips even once, I'll catch her. If she doesn't. And you lied to me again. He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. That night, Alina sat alone in her room. She hugged her knees, tears streaming down her face. What have I become? She whispered. I don't even recognize myself. She walked to the balcony and stared at the moonlit garden below. The same place she used to sweep. The same place she'd laughed with the other maids. Now they hated her. Now she was the woman in the golden cage. She pressed her hands to her chest. It hurt. Not just the humiliation, not just the injustice, but him. Zayan. Why did it hurt more when he doubted her? Why did it hurt when he walked away from her? She looked up at the stars, her voice a whisper. Why do I want him to believe in me? Why do I want him to see me? Really see me? Meanwhile, in another part of the mansion, Zayan stood in front of the fireplace. In his hand was that same old photo, the girl with the bracelet, Tracy, the woman who had promised him forever and left. He looked at the photo, then at the door. He thought of Alina's voice, her tears, her eyes when she said she didn't steal. There was something different in her. She didn't just beg. She fought. He hated how it made his heart stir. Damn it, he muttered, tossing the photo aside. Why does she feel real? The next day, one of the security staff entered Zayan's office. Sir, he said, holding up a small hidden camera. What is this? We caught something on Maid Mina's staff locker camera. Zayan leaned forward, curious. The footage played. Mina talking to someone over the phone, whispering about a buyer, mentioning the necklace. Zayan stared at the screen. His jaw clenched, his knuckles whitened. He had made a mistake. A big one. He stood up slowly, guilt burning through him. She told the truth. He whispered it like a curse. The air in the Caldwell mansion turned, ice cold the next morning. Every servant was silent, walking on eggshells. No one spoke unless spoken to. Everyone knew something had shifted, but no one knew what. Except Zayan. He stood in front of Mina's staff locker, flanked by 2 security guards. His face was blank, but his eyes burned with fury. Mina, he called. She turned the corner, wearing her usual smug expression, until she saw the guards beside him. Yes, sir? Where is it? He asked coldly. She blinked. Where is what, sir? He stepped forward, holding up a small flash drive. You spoke about selling something, on camera, in this very locker room. Mina's face turned pale. Sir, I didn't. He cut her off. Lying won't help you. I gave you everything. Food, shelter, a salary 10 times the industry average. And this is how you repay me? Sir, please. I didn't mean to. Did you steal the necklace or not? He snapped. Mina broke down. Yes, I did. But I only took it because I don't want your reasons. His voice was like thunder. He turned to the guards. Call the police. No, please, sir. I'll give it back. I swear. Zayan didn't flinch. You'll pay for this, not just for the theft, but for ruining someone's life. As the guards dragged her away, Mina's screams echoed through the halls. But they couldn't drown out the guilt screaming in Zayan's heart. He had wronged Alina. Badly. He stood outside her door, hand raised to knock, but paused. For the first time, the powerful billionaire felt unsure. What do you say to someone you falsely accused? What do you say to a girl you imprisoned? He finally knocked. Alina? He called softly. No answer. He knocked again. Please open the door. I need to talk to you. Still silent. He twisted the handle. It wasn't locked. Inside, he found her sitting by the window, arms wrapped around her knees, staring blankly at the sky. Alina, he said gently. She didn't look at him. He walked slowly toward her. I found the real thief. It was Mina. You were right. Her head turned slightly. You finally believed me? He nodded, unsure how to answer. I thought you'd feel proud of yourself, she said with a broken laugh. But instead, you look guilty. I am, he whispered. She stood, up now, eyes brimming with tears. Do you even realize what you did to me? I do, he replied. No, you don't. Her voice cracked. You looked at me like filth. You paraded me like a criminal. You let everyone mock me, trap me, strip me of my dignity. And then you forced me into a fake marriage just to punish me. Do you know how that felt? Zayan took a breath. Alina, you made me feel like I was nothing. And all this time, I was the only one telling you the truth. She turned her back to him. Go. Please. I can't. She looked over her shoulder. Why? Because I don't know how to fix this. But I want to try. Her tears spilled. You think a simple apology fixes everything? No, he said softly. But I need you to know I'm sorry. For every minute you spent in this house feeling worthless, for not listening, for not seeing you. She didn't say anything. Say something, he begged. She turned around, her face streaked with tears. What do you want me to say? That it's okay? That I forgive you? I want you to say whatever's real. She walked up to him slowly. You want real? Here it is. I hate you. His chest tightened. I hate how you made me feel. I hate that I still think about you. I hate that even now. Some stupid part of me wanted you to fight for me. Zayan stared at her silent. And I hate that despite everything, my heart still beats faster when you say my name. He stepped closer. Alina? No. Don't say it, she whispered, backing away. Not until you're sure I'm not just another shadow of your past. She turned to leave, but he caught her hand. I see you now, he said, voice trembling, and I'm not letting you go. The next few days changed everything. Zayan cleared her name officially. He made a public announcement to his staff and had a formal written apology placed in her employee file. Mina's arrest made headlines. But Zayan made sure Alina's name never appeared in the media. Instead, something else happened. He started showing up in the kitchen while she had breakfast. He walked beside her when she went to water the flowers. He brought her books, little gifts, and once, even a strawberry milkshake. Strawberries are your favorite, right? He asked, placing it on the table. She blinked. How do you know? I listen now. But not everyone was happy with this change, especially not Clara, another rich girl who had been throwing herself at Zayan for months. One afternoon, Alina found herself surrounded by whispers and stares. That's her? The maid turned wife? She probably seduced him. She's just a pretty face. He'll get bored. The comments pierced her ears like needles. Later that night, Zayan found her alone in the garden, eyes puffy, cheeks red. Who hurt you? He asked. She didn't answer. Tell me, he insisted, his voice cold. I don't need you to fight my battles, she said quietly. But I want to. She looked at him, broken and beautiful. "You really mean that?" she whispered. He nodded. "You're my wife. For now. Or maybe forever. But if anyone lays a finger on you, emotionally or otherwise, I'll end them." Her heart skipped. For the first time, the words wife didn't feel like a punishment. They felt warm. That night, as they passed each other in the hallway, she whispered, "Thank you." "For what?" he asked. "For trying." He smiled slightly. "You deserve more than trying. You deserve the world." The morning was gentle. Warm sunlight bathed the mansion's windows. Birds chirped softly outside, and for once, Alina had woken up with a calm breath. She stood at the balcony, with her tea, watching the garden bloom. It almost felt like peace was finally settling in her life. Until Mary barged in. "Madam," the housekeeper said, voice tense, "there's a woman downstairs. She says she knows Mr. Zayn." Alina furrowed her brows. "Who?" "She says her name is Tracy." That name hit Alina like ice down her spine. She didn't have to ask. She knew. By the time Alina reached the main hall, Zayn was already there, frozen, his eyes glued to the woman standing in front of him. Tracy, the same girl from the photograph. She looked elegant, confident, stunning, wearing a soft pastel dress, her hair flowing like she'd stepped out of a dream. "Zayn," she smiled, "you're still as handsome as ever." Zayn didn't speak at first. He looked like he'd seen a ghost. His fists clenched unconsciously. "Why are you here?" he asked finally, his voice cautious. "I came back for you." Alina felt her heart drop in her chest. The atmosphere in the room changed. Zayn's expression was unreadable, but Alina, she felt invisible. She stepped back quietly, her chest tightening. Of course, she's back. The woman he once loved. The one I could never replace. But before she could disappear entirely, Tracy turned and noticed her. "Oh," she said politely. "You must be—" Alina stepped forward slowly, offering a small smile. "Alina, I'm—" "My wife," Zayn interrupted firmly. Tracy blinked, her perfect smile faltering just slightly. "Wife?" "Yes. Legally married," he said, walking over to stand beside Alina. Alina forced a smile, but her eyes didn't lie. She could feel Tracy scanning her like a challenge. "Well, congratulations," Tracy said, voice sweet but eyes calculating. "She's beautiful." Alina nodded. "Thank you. I hope you don't mind if I stay a while. I have unfinished memories in this place." Zayn nodded once. "You can stay." Those 3 words shattered Alina inside. Later, that evening, Zayn sat in the library, flipping through an old book. But he wasn't reading. His mind was flooded with memories. Tracy's return stirred something in him. Regret. Anger. Maybe even old love. She had left him without warning 5 years ago. And yet, one glimpse of her made the past flood back like it never left. He heard a soft knock. It was Alina. She entered silently, not looking at him. She placed his coffee on the table and turned to leave. "Alina," he called. She stopped. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine," she replied mechanically. He stood and walked to her. "You don't have to act like nothing's wrong." She looked up at him, her eyes glassy. "What? Do you want me to say, Zayn? That it hurts? That I feel like a backup? That I keep wondering if you were just trying to replace her with me this entire time?" "I never said that. But you never denied it either." He paused. "I married you before she came back. And now that she's here, will you unmarry me?" Her voice cracked. Zayn exhaled. "It's not that simple." Alina nodded slowly. "Right, because feelings never are." Before he could respond, she left. this time without waiting for him to stop her. Days passed like whispers. Tracy stayed in the mansion, always dressed in perfection, always smiling at Alina with pity. She'd often say things like, "You must be adjusting to this lifestyle, no? Zayan likes his coffee without sugar. I'm sure you'll remember eventually. He used to write me letters every week. Did you know that?" Alina would only smile, dying a little more inside each time. Zayan tried to act normal, but Alina felt the shift. His mind wasn't fully with her anymore. One night, she found him sitting alone in the garden, staring at the stars. She approached, hesitant. "Why are you out here?" she asked. "Couldn't sleep," he replied. She sat next to him, the silence between them heavier than ever. After a while, she whispered, "Do you still love her?" He didn't answer. That silence hurt more than any yes ever could. Alina stood up. "Thanks. That's all I needed to know." She turned to walk away, but his voice stopped her. Soft, barely a breath. "I don't know what I feel anymore." She looked back at him, heartbreaking. "I'm sorry, Alina." She nodded. "Me too." That night, Alina cried herself to sleep, curled up in the bed they once shared. But now Zayan slept in the guest room. The mansion felt big again. Too big, too cold. The next morning, she packed her bag. Mary walked in, shocked. "Madam, are you going somewhere?" Alina smiled weakly. "I'm freeing myself." Before Mary could stop her, Alina walked out of the room, down the stairs, and saw Zayan, waiting at the entrance. He was holding her bracelet. "I heard you," he said quietly. "And I saw you." She tried to keep walking, but he stepped forward. "I let the past distract me. I let it silence what was right in front of me." "You don't need to explain," she said. "I understand." "No, you don't," he said firmly. "Because I was confused until the moment you started pulling away." He stepped even closer, now just inches away. "That's when I realized. I wasn't scared of losing Tracy. I was terrified of losing you." Alina's breath caught. "You taught me how to trust again, how to listen, how to feel, and I almost let you go. But I won't. Not now. Not ever." Tears ran down her cheeks. "But Tracy is my past. You, Alina, are the woman I want my future with." Alina covered her mouth with her hands, sobbing quietly. Zayan stepped forward and wrapped his arms around her. "I love you," he whispered. "Not because you remind me of someone, but because you made me forget everyone else." The next morning, the mansion was quieter than usual. Servants walked slowly. No whispered gossip. No suspicious stares. Because something had shifted. Zayan and Alina weren't hiding anymore. Alina walked into the dining hall wearing a soft lavender dress. Her hair wasn't pinned up like a maid's today. It flowed down her shoulders, gentle curls touching her back. She didn't walk like a prisoner anymore. She walked like a woman with purpose. And there at the table sat Tracy, still as graceful, still smiling, but this time her smile didn't reach her eyes. "Good morning," Alina greeted politely, taking a seat beside Zayan, his hand naturally finding hers beneath the table. Tracy noticed. Her fingers tightened around her coffee cup. "So," Tracy said slowly, "I suppose congratulations are in order." Zayan raised an eyebrow. "For what?" "For realizing who you truly want," she said, her voice too calm. Alina offered a kind smile. "It's never too late to open your eyes." Tracy chuckled bitterly. "You know what hurts the most?" Zayan leaned back, waiting. "I left because I was scared, but I always believed if I came back, your heart would still be mine." He didn't respond. She looked at Alina now. "You should take care of that heart. Because once it's broken, it never heals the same." Alina's eyes didn't waver. I'll take care of it better than you ever did. Tracy stood up. I guess I lost. She turned to Zayan, her voice cracking. But I'll always wonder, if I had stayed, would I have been enough? Zayan stood too, walking beside Alina. You were once, but she's the only one who makes me feel like home now. Tracy nodded slowly, a tear slipping down her cheek. Then, without another word, she walked away. That night, the mansion glowed with golden lights. The air was soft, the sky littered with stars. Zayan stood at the rooftop terrace, looking out over the city skyline. Alina joined him silently. He turned to her, a soft smile playing on his lips. You always show up when I need you. She tilted her head. I think I just belong near you now, he chuckled. You don't belong near me, Alina. You belong with me. He reached for her hand. I want to rebuild everything with you. No past, no fear, no regrets. Alina blinked back tears. Are you sure? Because I'm not perfect. I cry easily. I overthink. I get scared. He stepped closer. Good. Because I need someone real. Someone who makes me feel. You're chaos and calm. Fire and water. You're everything I never knew I wanted. Her heart pounded. He cupped her cheek gently. And then he kissed her. Not a kiss of lust or apology, but a kiss of belonging. A kiss that said, you're mine now, and I'll never let you go. Alina's hands gripped his shirt. She leaned into him fully, melting into the warmth, the safety, the truth of his love. The stars bore witness as two broken souls sealed their bond under the night sky. But just as peace wrapped them like a blanket, the storm cracked in the distance. Inside Zayan's office, a secure line rang. He walked in, answered it casually. Caldwell? A cold voice replied, distorted and robotic. You think she saved you? You think you've won? You forgot your enemies don't forgive, Zayan. Zayan's jaw clenched. Who is this? You took something from us 5 years ago. Now we take everything back. Including her. The call disconnected. Zayan's hand tightened around the phone until it cracked. He rushed out, searching for Alina. She was walking toward the garden, smiling softly. Alina! He called. She turned, confused. What is it? He grabbed her hand. We're leaving. Now. Why? What happened? Someone's coming, and they want to hurt you. In the car, Alina looked at him, worry in her eyes. You're scaring me, Zayan. What's going on? I don't know yet, but I won't let them touch you. Who are they? My past, he whispered. People who once tried to ruin my family. I shut them down, but now they're back. She squeezed his hand. You're not alone this time. He looked at her. No, I'm not. They reached a private estate in the mountains, Zayan's safe house. Guards were placed, security systems were checked, but even here, danger felt near. That night, as Alina lay in bed beside him, her voice broke the silence. Zayan? Yeah? If something happens, and we get separated, he turned to her. We won't. But if we do, promise me you'll keep breathing. Promise me you'll fight. He held her face, his forehead pressed to hers. I don't know how to breathe without you anymore. She kissed his cheek. And I don't know how to live without you. They slept in each other's arms, two souls finally together, just before the final storm. Will love survive the fire? We'll find out. The night was darker than usual at the mountain estate. A strange stillness covered the land. No wind, no sound, just silence, too perfect to be real. Zayan stood near the glass doors, scanning the tree line. His eyes were sharp, senses on full alert. Inside, Alina was sitting near the fireplace, hugging a blanket. She couldn't sleep. Her instincts screamed that something was wrong, and she was right. At exactly 2:07 a.m., the first alarm triggered. Beep, beep, beep. Zayan turned instantly. "Alina, stay down!" Before she could ask anything, 3 armed men stormed the estate through the back window. Security guards clashed with them in the hallway. Zayan pulled a gun from a hidden drawer and shielded Alina with his body. "Stay behind me, no matter what." "Zayan, what's happening?" "They found us." Gunshots echoed through the halls. Zayan moved fast, calculated. He knocked down the first attacker, shielding Alina behind furniture. But the second man lunged at them. In the chaos, a bullet grazed Zayan's arm. "Ah!" He winced but didn't fall. Blood stained his shirt, but he didn't stop. He dragged Alina through the hallway toward the hidden basement exit. "We're leaving. Now." "No, you're hurt. Zayan." "I said move." Tears streamed down her cheeks. "I'm not leaving you behind. You have to. I can't. Protect you if you stay." He pressed a kiss to her forehead, quick and trembling. "I love you. Go." She stared at him, frozen. Then another explosion rocked the house. He shoved her through the hidden door just as the ceiling above cracked. And the world went black. When Alina woke up, she was in a hospital. White walls, machines beeping softly. She blinked, her body trembling. "Zayan," she whispered. "Where's Zayan?" Mary was beside her, eyes red from crying. "Where is he? Tell me." Mary burst into tears. We couldn't find him after the explosion. The guard said he was buried under debris. There's no sign of him." "No," Alina choked. "No, he promised. He promised me." She ripped out her IV and jumped out of bed. "Alina, please, you're not well." "I don't care," she screamed. "I didn't fall in love to say goodbye in silence." For 2 days straight, she refused to leave the destroyed estate. She dug with her bare hands, through ashes, through stone, through pain. Her fingers bled, her body ached. She didn't eat, she didn't sleep, she just searched. Until, on the 3rd day, she heard a faint sound, a cough, a groan. Her heart stopped. She dropped to her knees and screamed his name. "Zayan!" And then, his hand appeared beneath the rubble, bruised, bloody, alive. "Zayan!" she cried, pulling at debris. He opened his eyes slowly. "Took you long enough." She sobbed uncontrollably. "You idiot! You almost died." "You think I'd die before marrying you properly?" he rasped, smiling weakly. She kissed his dirt-stained face over and over. "You're never leaving me again," she whispered. "Not in this life. Not in the next," he replied, clinging to her. 3 months later, the church bells rang across the city. But this time, no one was forced. No lies, no accusations, no fear, just love. Alina walked down the aisle in a soft ivory gown, her eyes locked on the man at the altar. Zayan stood in a classic black tux, his arms still recovering, but his eyes brighter than ever. When she reached him, he took her hands and whispered, "This time I'm not just marrying you to protect you." "I know," she smiled. "I'm marrying you because you saved me. From myself, from my past, from a life without real love." Tears welled up in her eyes. "And I'm marrying you," she whispered back, "because you didn't just fight for me. You chose me. Every time." When the priest asked, "Do you take her?" Zayan didn't wait. "I already did. The day she told me the truth, and I refused to listen." And when he said, "Do you take him?" Alina smiled, her voice shaking. "I never stopped." The crowd clapped as they kissed. But the kiss wasn't like before. This time, It wasn't a punishment. It wasn't a performance. It was a promise. Epilogue, 6 months later. The mansion was different now. Warmer, softer. Laughter echoed in the halls, and Alina, a maid once accused, now walked those halls as the lady of the house, pregnant with their first child. She sat in the garden with Zayan beside her, watching the sunset. "Do you ever think about how it started?" she asked. He smirked. "You mean when I falsely accused you, locked you in my house, and forced you to marry me?" She elbowed him gently. "Yes, that." He kissed her cheek. "Best mistake of my life." Sometimes, life gives us pain not to break us, but to redirect us. Alina was blamed, broken, and betrayed, but she kept her heart kind, and destiny rewarded her with the kind of love many only dream of. This wasn't just a story about a maid and a billionaire. It was about how truth always finds a way, and how real love doesn't need perfection, just honesty, patience, and courage. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and stay with us, because the next story might just be your favorite one yet. Until then, protect your heart, believe in your worth, and never forget. Sometimes the biggest storms bring the most beautiful sunsets.